Hi guys! Okay, so in this video, I'm gonna go over 3 new 3-dimensional shapes with all of you. Just a little reminder, 3-dimensional shapes are shapes that have dimension or something called volume. It means that they're not flat, that they kind of stick out and they have different sides about them, and they're just the opposite of flat. So if you've ever been to a 3D movie before, I'm not sure if all of you have, but if you've ever been to a 3D movie before, you walk into the movie theater and they give you a pair of 3D glasses and you put your 3D glasses on, and as soon as you put your 3D glasses on, the movie that you're watching goes from being flat to kind of this like cool, sticking out at you picture. So it's pretty awesome. Another way that I like to think about it is when I draw a picture of a house, usually what I do is I just draw a square with a triangle on top, and it just is flat, right? But in real life, when you look at a house, it's not flat. You look at the front of it and it looks like a square, but you walk around to the side of it and then there's a side of the house, and if you kept going around, there would be a back to your house, right? So they're not flat shapes. They have some kind of dimension to them. So I'm going to go over 3 different shapes with you. We're going to kind of talk about where we can see them in real life, and how to tell what they are just by looking at them. So this first shape here is one I'm sure a lot of you have seen before. This is called the sphere. A sphere. A sphere has no faces, and it has no vertices or points on it. If you look at my sphere here, it doesn't have any faces at all, no flat edges, and it doesn't have any kind of corners either on the whole thing. So if I was going to take my sphere and I was going to put it down, it wouldn't lay flat. It would roll. It would roll across because nothing is stopping it. No edges, no corners, no faces, nothing. It's just completely round. A sphere is something that we see all the time. So if you've ever played with a basketball before, or a soccer ball, or in my house I have this little bouncy ball. If you've ever played with one of these, then you've seen a sphere before. A cool little fact about a sphere is that in the middle of the sphere, there's a little tiny point, and all of the outside of this sphere, like all the way around it, every single little teeny tiny point on this outside is the same distance from the point in the middle as all of the other ones on the outside. So the only way that I can think of to show you is to draw it for you. I'll try to show you. This is just kind of a cool little fact. So if this is the point in the middle, and then you have your sphere in a circle all the way around it, every little point on the outside, like if this is one little point, is the same distance from the circle. So this point right here is going to be the exact same length or distance from the center to this point as this point here. It's the same length, which is pretty cool. That's a cool little fact about spheres. And that's why they're so round and there's no edges to them at all. The next shape that we're going to talk about besides a sphere is something called a pyramid. This is a pyramid. I know it is so hard to see with this light. It makes it really hard. Maybe if I turn the lights off a little bit better, or shut the blinds a little bit more. This is a pyramid, so you can kind of tell that it's not really flat. It has a lot of different dimension to it. Pyramids, there we go. Pyramids look like this. They have a square base, and then they have 4 triangle faces. So if we look at my pyramid, the bottom looks like a square. If you look at just this face here, it's a square base, and then there are 1, 2, 3, 4 triangle faces that kind of come together to a point at the top here. So if you look at this face, you can tell it's kind of a triangle. Pyramids, at least in my house, are really hard to find. I couldn't find anything that was the shape of a pyramid, but I drew a couple of pictures and then I wanted to show you a picture in a book. So here are some pyramids that you might see in real life. This is a maybe a cell phone tower. You can kind of tell here that I've got a square on the bottom, maybe, and that there are 4 triangle faces that make up this little cell phone tower. If you ever drive down the road, look for big metal towers like that. And if you ever see one, tell your mom and your dad, hey, that's a pyramid. That's a cell phone tower pyramid. Another pyramid that we see a lot is caution signs. Not every caution sign is a pyramid, but sometimes if you're in Walmart maybe and they just mopped, they'll set out a little caution sign that says, hey, be careful, this ground is wet, don't run near here. And usually a caution sign can be a pyramid too, which is pretty cool. The last one here, you can't really tell, but this is a picture, it's supposed to be a picture of something called a Great Pyramid. So there is a country in Africa called Egypt. And in Egypt, a long, long time ago, actually, some Israelites built these huge structures called pyramids. That's what their name is. And I've got a picture for you guys right here in this book at my house. So you can kind of tell it's like the desert right here. This is something called the Great Sphinx. And in the background, there are these huge, huge pyramids. And they're amazing. And that you can see them from miles and miles away because they are so huge. So maybe after this video, if you want, you can tell your mom and your dad, hey, can you look up for me the Great Pyramids in Egypt so I can see what they look like? They're just awesome looking. They're so, so cool. The last shape that I'm going to talk about with you guys right now is something called a triangular prism. A triangular prism is, at least for me, probably the trickiest one, just because it can look so different. It just can look so different from shape to shape. So here is my triangular prism. When you say triangular, you can kind of tell what shape makes up one of the faces. Triangular prism. I hear triangular and I think triangle, and if you look here, one of the faces of my triangular prism is a triangle, which is kind of cool. And then I tried to draw one here, and oh my goodness, they are so tricky to draw. Triangular prisms have 5 faces. 2 of their faces are triangles, and 3 of their faces are rectangles. So if I look at my triangular prism right now, this is a triangle face, and then the other side has a triangle face, and then the rest of the faces are rectangles that connect those 2 triangle faces. So I've got one triangle here, one triangle here. Because this is a prism and rectangular prisms are also a prism, sometimes you can just kind of look at them and they maybe from certain sides kind of look like, oh, this could just be a rectangular prism. But the thing that we need to remember is rectangular prisms, every face is a rectangle. And on a triangular prism, they have 2 that are triangles. So if you can see a prism and you say, I don't know, make sure it doesn't have a triangular face, because if it does, then it's a triangular prism. And then again, I could not find any of these in my house at all. So these are some triangular prisms you might see. They're not perfect triangular prisms, but they're pretty close. So this here is a block of cheese. I can tell the top is a triangle, and then the side here is a rectangle. So then the other side's a rectangle, and then this back side's a rectangle, and then the bottom's going to be a triangle. Watermelons are triangular prisms too. This face right here is not very straight, but I can see the triangle shape. And then the last one is, this is a door wedge. So if you think about in our classroom, we don't really use them as much as maybe like, I'm trying to think, Mrs. Richards has in her music class. She had a little door wedge too that you put underneath the door, and it stops the door from opening. That is a triangular prism too. So those are our 3 shapes that we talked about. We have our sphere here. We have our pyramid. and we have our triangular prism. If you want to take some time today and go around your house and see if you can find any of those shapes, that would be so awesome. You can take a picture and you can post it in Google Classroom. Good luck to you guys. You guys are going to do so awesome on this chapter test. Hopefully I'll see you later. Bye.